So in this first segment, the country's Inspector General of Police, William Faya Sellu, was appointed by President Julius Maada Bio on 27th July in 2022 to replace Ambrose Sovula. IGP Faya Sellu, prior to his appointment as IG of Police, served as the Director of Crime Services, Assistant Inspector General of Police at the Criminal Investigation Department, CID. And during his time at the CID, he made some adjustments in the CID sector, including the scrapping of the Special Investigations Bureau, that was the SIB, and increase on the intelligence-led investigations to NIP. Any crime, well, it was more to nip the crimes in the bud. 2.5 years on, we are going to discuss his successes, challenges, reforms, and the transformation of the Sierra Leone police to service, among other things. Good morning, IGP. Thanks for joining us in the studio this morning.
Thank you for having me in the media empire. I'm glad to be here this morning. My very first time.
Good morning.
Thank you.
Indeed. Let's start from there. It's your very first time in the studio, and if I'm not mistaken, in any studio actually granting this sort of interview. Why are you now engaging the media?
Well, this is my first time of coming to the media empire, but I do a lot of media engagements. I was at the SLBC recently, but more often than not, whenever I do any activity on the outside, public shows, programs I launch, courses I conduct, I have the privilege to talk to the media. They virtually cover all of those things. I'm not scared of coming to the media. I like media people because they tell the public what we do. If we don't tell them, the public will not know. So I'm open to the media. Of course, we have weekly press conferences where we go to talk about the things we are doing. I'm media friendly. Most journalists will attest to that one, especially.
Well, it's a good thing we have you in the studio now this morning. 2 years in office. How has the office been for you?
Well, I started on a very rough footing when I was appointed on the 27th of July 2022. Before I was even decorated by His Excellency the President, retired Brigadier Dr. Julius Maada Bio, I had to contend with the August 10 riots, which sadly took away the lives of 7 of my officers, actually. I was just settling in, just 1 week after my appointment. Coincidentally, even the then Chief of Defense Staff, Lavau, who has now been appointed as ambassador to Kenya, we are just coming in for the very first time. But again, to us, that was an opportunity for us to test our capacity to work with colleagues in the institutions we had. Secondly, that particular riot of August 10 gave me the opportunity to work with my colleagues in the sector. Security, we are talking about the sector. We are no longer working in isolation. That is the military, the police, the Office of National Security, Correctional Services, Fire Force, all of us come together, we form the sector. That was the second chance I got. And the third opportunity I got for that riot was it actually gave me the capacity to map out gray areas across the country, because we looked at where the riots were really very heavy and we mapped them out. And that particular mapping helped us to plan ourselves well for the elections which were ahead in 2023. So that's how I started my tenure as Inspector General. It was very rough when I started, but it's getting better.
Just quickly, how long have you been in the Sierra Leone Police?
I've been in the Sierra Leone Police for 31 years.
Okay. Prior to being the Inspector General of the Sierra Leone Police, the police itself had some fingers pointed at it to be unprofessional, to be an instrument or institution used by the political party in governance, which some have also accused the police that it adds to the flames between the 2 main political parties, the APC and the SLPP. In your 2 years of tenure, how would you assess the performance of the Sierra Leone police?
Well, we have performed very well, because when I took over the reins of power as Inspector General, I did an introspection of the institution. I realized there was a gap, and the gap we had was training gap, training and logistic support. So I sat down together with the chairman of the police council, who is the vice president, and His Excellency himself, we discuss the issues around training. So moving forward, we embarked on massive trainings. We recognize the fact that in the absence of training, we cannot have a very professional force. So we widened the scope. We dropped a number of trainings. For example, between 2022 August to the time of elections, we focused on election-specific trainings. We delivered massive trainings, which saw us train like over 6,000 of our personnel because we are moving forward to elections. And it was not only election-specific, we diversified. We brought in trainings that have to do with investigation, criminal investigations, sexual and gender-based violence investigations. We reviewed MOUs, we reviewed protocols, we reviewed SOPs for those issues. And of course, we went a little professional also. We went into technology because we saw that whatever we do now, we should not lag behind in the area of technology. So we brought in some aspects of technology. For example, we were able to set up the cyber investigation laboratory. We had one. I met one of the CID, but actually working together with His Excellency, who is very keen in technology investment. We set up another cyber investigation lab. That one has to do with, it's not about recovering missing phones or missing gadgets, but that one we are focusing on critical investigations. For example, it was because of that particular laboratory that we were able to secure 100% conviction in the most recently concluded treason trial and court martials. We did some investment in that one, and of course we most times people are complaining about we are not professional, so our response time to incidents. We did His Excellency secured for us large fleets, and in those fleets, for us to improve on our response time and minimize crime, to ensure public safety and security, we introduced GPS in our patrol vehicles. Every patrol vehicle in the western area, we installed GPS in those vehicles, which is monitored from the center, and the center is at the police headquarters. So every movement of that vehicle is tracked on a daily basis. So, and in those vehicles also, we dropped telephones, mobile phones, all of which has a toll-free number, and we have a toll-free number at the central control room at police headquarters. So each time somebody is feeling threatened or there's an incident in your community, you are calling the toll-free line 900. The responder will ask your location, and looking at the GPS map, will be able to locate the nearest patrol vehicle, and then that vehicle will be directed as such to respond to that incident. So we've gone real professional. We've improved that particular image, that perception that we are not professional. That one is changing, and we are working on that each and every time we have the opportunity. We've dropped trainings in international trainings overseas, Egypt, India, US, Dubai. We had our officers go to Dubai for 6 months leadership training. We have some of our guys going to the Botswana Police College, where I was the first student to attend the strategic leadership training, which lasted for 3 months. All of it is designed to build our capacity so that we can look very professional.
IG, while you've explained all these trainings, you skipped an important part of the question I asked about being used to fan the flames of the divide between the political tension, APC and the SLP.
No, we are
You've
not.
not spoken to
we
them.
are not. We are not. It's the same police officers who have been in there when, for example, the APC was in power. You know, we, the police, will never win. Each time one party comes to power, they look at us as we are being used as instruments of oppression. But we are not actually. In my time, I have actually been able to forge a very good working relationship with the political parties, especially the main opposition. We are working together. Tomorrow, if the main opposition is coming to power, they too, another party which is going to be in opposition will say the ruling party is using us to flame the fans of anger in the society, but we are not like that one. We have been very neutral, sitting on the fence, so that's our job. We don't take sides. We are very political. In fact, in one of our strategic development goals, that is one objective, we want to remain apolitical. The issue is that, for example, being appointed by His Excellency the President doesn't mean he has to influence. And I'm happy to say here that since I was appointed, he has never influenced anything I do in my office. Not even the Vice President has influenced. Because one thing we enjoy as a police force is operational independence, but accountability. So we are like that.
Help the public understand this juncture. What sort of a leader are you?
Well, I cannot score myself, actually. I expect the public to tell me what they see in me, but I believe in transformation. I believe I've been in this job for like 31 years. I've seen a lot of inspector generals. I've changed like 8 inspector generals in my time from 1993 when I left the FSSG as a geography teacher. So in all of those times, I've been looking closely at what's happening in the organization, and I said to myself, if I am to assume leadership, I will do X, Y, Z. One of the things I'm doing is human capacity development. That's my focus. I focus quite a lot on trainings. I also look at technology, because crime is changing its face. When we got into this job, we never knew anything about cyber crime, but now it is coming up. It has showed its face. So I'm like positioning the force to meet the challenges of the time, to meet the changing dynamics of crime in the society.
Cyber, among other things, seems some of the few years you've recorded progress, because of recent we've seen a lot of trainings on news for Selling police in order for them to be capacitated in that regards. But again, specialized policing is one that the public seem to be putting pressure on. We've seen minimal in that regards. How far are we in terms of how far is the police force in terms of the aspects of specialized policing?
Well, we have different units in the police force. It's not only about protecting lives and property. We have other areas. For example, even the welfare of our own people is an issue, because if you don't nurture the goose that's going to lay the golden eggs, the goose will never lay the golden eggs. So welfare is key for us also. We have different departments. We have the traffic section, we have the medical section, we have the infrastructure, we have the crime section, we have the corporate affairs, we have the gender directorate, we have the training directorate, we have the directorate of human resources. All of those are specialized areas. We do have the chance to get courses that are related to those specific areas. And once we have that opportunity, we are making sure people who work in that department benefit from that course. So we have made considerable strides in the area of specialization. That is why there is no gap, actually. For example, we have a drone corridor. We have about 12 drones present in the Sierra Leone Police Force. They are not there before I came in, so we were able to secure 12 drones. And out of those 12, we have 2 that are drones that have a special assignment. Those ones, they have the capacity to deliver and load. When I say load, CS gas, tear gas canisters, it can stay in the air for 6 hours, and each drone of the 2 can carry 12 pieces of CS gas. So we've gone that far also. And then, of course, so we are making use of the drones to monitor key events. For example, we use drone evidence to counter a claim that we brutalized. For example, the APC, when they came to nominate Dr. Samura Kamara at the elections office, we actually they bulldozed our checkpoint, and there was specific restrictions on how many people should accompany Dr. Samura at the time. It was 20. So they came in their numbers, they bulldozed us by the library, and they wanted to go beyond that point to the ECS office. We said, no, it cannot happen that way. We had that evidence. So when they came up with the claims that they were brutalized, we played that evidence for them, and they kept quiet about it.
The reason for that question is, over time we've had a lot of guests in our studios, even government ministers, say for instance, gender, who've raised a lot of eyebrows as to the fact that most times a case will be in the hand of one police officer. Within the twinkle of an eye, say for instance FSU. Within the twinkle of an eye, that officer will be moved from FSU to that of traffic.
Well, for us, sometimes people don't understand why we are moving officers. We are moving them out of necessity. Because if you are dealing with a case, for example, and you are seen to have taken sides, you as an investigator, you should be very neutral. But most times, when you see such movements, it's either the officer has taken sides, and it's affecting the dispensation of justice, or it's affecting his impartiality in the investigation, we have to take that case away from him. And don't forget, we in the Sierra Leone police, we have a very strong sanction regime which is embedded in the police discipline regulation. So for that one, there are small things, improper practice. For example, if you have a report, you have a case at the CID, and you walk up to the head of CID and say you are not comfortable with the investigator handling the matter, that decision of not being comfortable must be born out of what you have observed, that he has taken side. So for fairness to come into play, we move the matter from that investigator to another investigator. And in the force, you have a right to choose. If you are in the FSU, doesn't mean you are going to die there. You have a right to say, I'm opting for transfer to another department. That's why when we recruit in the basic recruit training, we expose them to all of the different directorates. What are the activities? We have a time when every AIG is going to tell the recruits what is happening in his directorate. So it's up to you. You can start from the OSD. Recently, we've seen people who have moved from being OSD to local unit commanders. I did that because during the elections, I realized we actually needed people who can actually man their divisions well, because it was very threatening at that time before the elections. So those ones, they were recruited as OSDs, but that is why along the line they are exposed to all sorts of training. In addition to criminal law and all of the things that happen for normal policing, they now go to SAMU for the advanced public order and management training, where they are introduced to weapons and all of those things. But that means they are not limited. Equally, you can have somebody from the general duty section of the police to go to the OSD to become a very good commander. We've done that with crisscross. So moving people from one department to another is not born out of any malice, it's born out of the decision of the leadership at that particular time to make sure things are happening correctly.
The police seem to have come under constant criticism from the public in terms of them being one of the most corrupt institutions in the country. And at some point in time, you did mention your relationship with the media. I will talk on SIM very shortly. But first off, just recently we've seen a report parodied on social media, and it has to do with the Auditor General's reports that those indicates that about 6.6 billion is yet to be accounted for under your leadership.
That is not correct. What they failed to capture is that in the Sierra Leone police, for example, if you are a lawyer, your salary is inflated. You are paid like any lawyer in the office of the state council. That is why just when you pass out of the law school, they submit to us your details. We write for your salary to be upgraded. We have people who came into the police service. They came in with their PIN codes. So what is passing around on social media that 6.6 billion is accounted for is not correct. In fact, we are coming up with a press conference to clarify those issues. They are false rumors. We have people like those we had a good number of police officers who were in the audit service, and in the audit service their names were under our institution, but they are not paid from our funds. So all of those are the things that clouded the minds of those who did the audit, and I'm sure that we are going to clean it up. There's nothing like such in my time.
Let me take verbatim from what the report says. It says that about 265 individuals are receiving salaries that could not match the official staff roster, which has raised a lot of eyebrows. And you talk of those who've graduated from...
we have lawyers, we have people from the audit service. We have doctors, for example. If the medical people...
Could it account for that number 265?
It's about that one, yes. It's going to be explained. We are sitting together with the auditors. We don't have really any such, because if you actually understand all the issues around those people who are coming to the police, coming from other departments, coming along with their PIN codes and everything, we are like absorbing, because we are recruiting technical people. If we are recruiting a doctor, for example, he is coming along with his own PIN code and his own salary scale. It's not we police that are giving that one. So that is the issue.
Could that be perhaps due to non-participation or 100% compliance with the audit process? Because with the audit process, it doesn't just end at an assumption from the auditors. It goes to making inquiries by asking questions to the institution, asking for supplementary evidence to just put their report together. So
Well,
if all this you're saying now were perhaps mistakes, if you had fully complied, maybe during that back and forth process, you would have clarified the information, which would have landed a report that does not capture what it captures now.
yes, well, we are the most audit compliant institution in the country. Each time, in my time, I've seen like 2 audit sessions. We've never have. This is strange to me that I'm seeing this for the first time. When I saw it, I was really taken aback. So I even called the people in the audit department. They too are very angry. So now they are going to set the record straight. But each time,
I don't understand. You called the people at the audit service?
We have auditors attached to our department from the audit service.
So you're saying you had participated, you complied fully?
Yes, everything.
So if you complied fully, which means this could as well not be a mistake, this could be a reflection of your institution?
This one can be explained. That's what I'm saying. I'm saying this one, it's going to be explained too.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. If you had complied, it must have been explained before the report was released.
Well, I've
so to get to that point, if you're saying you had complied fully, could this be the actual reflection of your institution?
No, well, I've not seen this report, but like I said, we have an exit summit at the end of every audit session. There's an exit summit. They bring up the issues that they want us to clarify, and these issues were clarified. So I'm really wondering how they should be reflected. They have been explained. They have been explained.
Maybe the clarification was not convincing enough
to
change this report.
I don't know how it happened, but there is a department responsible for dealing with auditors. My office particularly was also audited. They audit every office in our institution. So this report, we are going to look at it. And like I said, I spoke to the auditor in my department, and he's equally confused about how they were able to arrive at such an aspect in the report. But that is another subject of investigation in the institution between us and the audit department.
Let's talk about compliance. Before the year ended in 2024, we had the Human Rights Commission of Sierra Leone talking about an investigation they had done into human rights abuses and excessive use of power and force on citizens by the Sierra Leone police and the Sierra Leone Republic of, the army. And what we got from the submission of the vice chair is that while they got full compliance from the army, they couldn't say they got the exact same from the Sierra Leone police.
Well, for us, most of the issues, the first time they came about that public inquiry was in the time of my predecessor, Mr. Sovula. That was in 2022, early 2022. The reference point for them was way back as 2015, and most of those issues they are bringing up, they are issues we have dealt with already. For some of those issues, officers have been dismissed, they have been charged to court, they have been reduced in rank. We've taken disciplinary action against the officers in all of the issues they are talking about. So for them to come back and say, want to open a new Pandora's box on these issues, for us, it was not looking good for us, because we are marching slowly onto elections. And then we are the ones who secure the process. Then you're going forward to open fresh wounds. Those are scores we have settled, where people who are supposed to be compensated. We have the policy in the sanctions regime. Some things you do to civilians, you pay compensation. All of those have been taken care of. They spoke to our officers. They went on record, they went up country. That is why, in fact, they came up with a report that police has to compensate. Compensate who? When we've dealt with those matters, you cannot do double jeopardy to somebody. Somebody has done something in 2015, we have dismissed him. I remember in 2015, for example, the issues around in Marampa or Lunsar, we dismissed senior officers. Senior colleagues were dismissed. And all the other issues where you've discharged firearm and you happen to kill somebody, that one is criminal. It is criminal and disciplinary. So we've dismissed from the force for that particular one, and we've charged to court. The person has already gone to jail. He has been sentenced to life imprisonment. And if he's having a jail term, how can we come back and say, human rights can say, well, you have to now come to the public to come and explain? No, that for us, it was not looking good for us. Although our members also, they spoke to our members. They went to our country, they spoke to our members. That's how they were able to compile the report. But for me, me particularly, I was not in favor of that report, of them doing what they did, because it's not looking good for us. You are making us very vulnerable to public anger. So.
The Sierra Leone police had issues with even the media in the past, where if journalists, for example, wanted to maybe film on the spot what they see, and in their professional opinion thinking this is a wrongdoing, there were instances when especially traffic police officers would attempt to snatch the phones of even media people, even ordinary citizens, preventing them from filming them. And the question posed often is, if you're convinced that what you're doing is right, why would you prevent anyone from filming you?
Well, actually, we've dealt with those issues. Most of the time, have had cause to actually remove people from traffic and even from investigation, send them to other departments. I get a lot of video evidence from journalists and members of the public. They video them doing what they do on the streets, and they send it to my phone. What I do, I send it to the director of traffic for him to single out those who are involved, and they will bring them up for the appropriate disciplinary action. For us, any information you give us about the conduct of our people in the streets or in the investigations or wherever, we take it as management information and we act on it. Yes, those things happen. The things you were talking about, my sister, they happen. Some policemen, they do want people to film them. In the process of you stopping Mr. X from filming you, another person is filming you also. So what we continue to say to members of the public, media people as well as people who are not in the media, is report those things to us so that we can take the appropriate action. For us, there's no sacred cow in the organization. All we want is the report, and if that evidence is there, the video evidence is there, there's no way you can challenge that one. So we are acting on those pieces of information that come to our desk as and when they come.
As a leader, let's zoom the lens on you. A few weeks ago, you had an encounter with one of our colleagues, Thomas Dixon, who posted something negative about you. Few minutes later, he posted a threat you sent to him, saying, Thomas, you have crossed the red line. That sent him in hiding. What happened, and why did that happen?
Well, I'm happy you started with the fact that he posted something negative, because all what he posted was not correct. The matter which he was talking about was not in court, and it was a serious misconduct, improper practice on the part of the police officer. Somebody was wounding with intent. When you are investigating a case of wounding with intent, for example, even me sitting here as IG, I don't have authority to grant bail in that matter. But because the suspect was his friend, he granted bail. And then, of course, the victim felt he was not fairly treated. The matter came up at the CDID. What the CDID does was they actually called the file again to look at what's in the file. They brought the file and look at it. The officer had no right. Not even his LUC had the right to grant bail in that matter. So they reopened the investigation disciplinarily, and they sent the file back to Adelaide Street to make sure they continue the investigation. Thereafter, Thomas called me. I said, well, look, that matter is at Adelaide Street. So if you want the facts of that matter, go to Adelaide Street. Shortly after, then he posted what he posted. So
but that constitutes a threat coming from the Inspector General of Police.
That you've crossed the red line. No, in fact, if you went into hiding, if you follow the post of your president, Nasrallah told him to go into hiding. Because I spoke to Nasrallah, just when he sent the post, I sent it to Nasrallah.
Some people have termed what you did to constitute to you being arrogant.
No, well, that is what they think. That is their perception about me. For me, everybody has his own perception.
So as a police officer, you don't see anything wrong in sending a text to someone saying, Thomas, you have crossed the red line.
Yeah, well,
you don't see that as a threat.
It's not, because it is not. If he's referring to me as arrogant, so yeah, has he got the right to say I'm arrogant when we have not interacted before? Because somebody has told him that we have reopened the investigation in the matter of wounding with intent, then he said the IG is arrogant. I even downplayed it. Because when I spoke to Nasrallah, I spoke to Fatoma Center for Human Rights, I spoke to the Minister of Information. I said, look, let's just I'm not interested in this one. I'm going to drop it off. Shortly after, then, they started posting that he has gone into hiding, he's missing. Nobody, there was no threat. And when we resolved the matter, he came out clear to say there was no threat to his personal safety and security. I'm a police officer. I cannot run around to look for journalists, to threaten journalists. No, I know what to do. In any case, I know what to do. When the other time somebody from 98 publicized something that is negative about me, I took the appropriate action. I took him to court and I won that matter. So I know the criminal level has been repealed, but that doesn't mean I cannot go for civil action if I have to.
IGP, pursuant to the 1965 Public Order Act, it is stated very clear that every citizen has the right to peaceful demonstration. But that seemed to be a thing of the past in Sierra Leone. Many have termed the Sierra Leone police as one that do dances to the whims and caprices of the past that be. Will you speak to same?
Well, for you to do a demonstration, whatever, there's a procedure you have to follow. In the first place, you have to apply that you want to come out with such a peaceful demonstration. If you write, we'll invite you to an ethical interview. That is where you are coming to take responsibility. Say, yes, I'm the organizer of this demonstration. I want to process. We need to discuss those things. I want to process from this point to this point, and how many people will be in the procession. Just give us that one. That is where you take responsibility. Say, if it goes wrong, if anything goes bad out of that one, that's where you come in. But most times, you cannot. We've seen most of the things we're not allowed to go on are those things we see on social media. People just posting on social media. We are coming out on the 10th. We are going to demonstrate. No, that's not the procedure. Even in the Western world, where most people come from, they think they are copying that style. It doesn't happen like that. You have to come to us, and it's there in the Constitution. I have the right to accept you to go ahead or to even reject it. But we don't reject it. What they do is they don't come forward for the ethical interview. So then it means if you are not coming forward for the ethical interview, then it becomes a problem for us to accept it. And we've seen most times people will write, they will put names and signatures which are not reflecting the true picture. So we have allowed demonstrations. We are not against them, but just follow the due process. And let me tell you, there was a time even a group of people, members of the ruling SLPP, they wanted to organize a demonstration. They wrote asking for permission. I invited them to the ethical interview, and they could not meet the conditions of the ethical interview, so I had to stop it. So that is where our neutrality comes into play, which most people don't tend to see, because for them, they want it their way. If it's not their way, then it's nobody's way.
I know within the Sierra Leone Police Force, there is a unit that is meant to, of course, oversee peaceful protests and what have you. Is that a thing of the past within the police? Have we the required professionals to handle peaceful protests?
We just police it. If you are given permission to carry on with your demonstration, we determine the routes, because we want to make sure your demonstration is not going to affect the movement of other people. So we police it to give you the security. We'll do that one. So the unit is still there. We have the operational support department division, but that one has been decentralized, so that every division, if the demonstration is falling within central division, for example, we send it to the regional commander. He works with the local unit commander of central to make sure it is properly policed. But we don't encourage people to organize demonstrations on social media, faceless. No, that is what we suffered in 2022, August 10, where we had to lose our officers. All over the world, all of those things are organized. They are legal system, legalities you have to go through. If you go through it, then we'll give it to you. But for you to just go on social media and want to mobilize people out in the streets, that is not acceptable anywhere in the world, not in Israel.
The other side of the coin will see it as the police being one of those sets that most times fueled these peaceful demonstrations into turning into something else, because the manner at which they handle the demonstration.
No, well, it's not us. I want them to, if you allege, you have to prove. There is no way we have ever failed these demonstrations to become something else. No, we've always been very consistent with sticking to the rules, the letters of the law. If you are cleared to organize your demonstration, we clear you. You go ahead and you organize that one. But faceless demonstrations, they are not entertained anywhere in the world. So Sierra Leone cannot be an exception. The laws are clear. Political rules are clear. If you want to do something, you do it. You come to us, tell us, we'll sit together, we plan, and then of course we'll allow you to go. Then we'll police it. But people don't want to follow that route. They want to do it their own way, and their own way is not the best way.
Is there the need for structural reforms within the current Sierra Leone police?
Well, reforms are ongoing. In my time, we've seen several reforms. But now we are driving a big change. When I say we, it's the Sierra Leone police and the UNDP. We want to, the ISIS drive, we are talking about transitioning from being Sierra Leone police force to Sierra Leone police service. We are actually silent on what comes after police force or service. It doesn't really matter. But I've been, in 2014, there was this idea of transitioning from force to service. That one has been there for a very long time. But when I came in, I had a discussion with the UNDP resident coordinator, and we went back to visit that document. Because we you know, when we are restructuring, we brought in the concept of local needs policing, community policing. That is where we want to see structural changes. Changes are coming in this new dispensation. We've started already. We did a benchmark visit to Ghana, to the Ghana Police Service. They have actually started the transition from 2001. They started this 23 years ago. They are still on it. It's not a process that will end in 1 year, not in my time, but we've started. So we went to Ghana, we visited those, how they did it. And in it, we see a lot of reforms have to take place, actually, legal reforms, even the way we handle our case and inquiry files at the CID, the way we handle our human resource data, even those are the legal issues. That is why, as a first step, we went to Ghana. We had tete-a-tete discussion with 3 government departments, the police, Ghana Police Service, the Internal Affairs Minister of Ghana, and the Justice Minister. We had those 3 meetings, and they gave us tips into what we need to do. The first tip was to review the Police Act. The Police Act is like 60 years old now. So most of what is in that act is obsolete, because, for example, in that act, you don't find the term Inspector General. It was Commissioner of Police. So, and luckily in 2014, the UNDP started the review of the Police Act by the Law Reform Commission, which is chaired by Yada Williams Esquire. So just early in November, we wrapped up that one. We did a national validation at the bank complex. It is now with the law officers for them to fine-tune that one before it is taken to cabinet and to parliament subsequently. Then, of course, we are also looking at the discipline regulation. And in that transition, lots of structural changes are taking place. We have the departments. All we need to do now is to build the capacity of those people in the departments to make sure they are up to task, because crime, for example, is changing gradually. So we need to build their capacity to cope with the changes. We have to deal with welfare issues. Like I said, it's not only about our own people, also matter to us. So we are going to look at, for example, the medical issues of our personnel. We've been able to succeed in getting a medical team from Spain. They've been here like 5 times. They've conducted free surgeries. We've now broadened that one to include residents in our communities, not only police officers. They have donated medical equipment, which are very, very expensive. The last time we received 2 containers, 20 feet from a donor group in the US, medical equipment. We've been able to expand the medical scope. We have a hospital in Kenema. Recently, when we opened the Matru Police Division Headquarters, we set aside that one, a medical unit. We just did one in Lungi. So we are opening up our medical facilities to take care. There are a lot of changes, structural changes are coming, but the structures are there. What we need is to build the capacity of the structures to perform, and that's what we are doing.
It is the ground rule that a man is innocent until otherwise proven guilty. And the court is the only arbiter that holds that power to prove someone guilty. We've seen instances wherein someone will be held within police cells and they've been brutalized in those cells. And even the conditions of the cells is something one could not write home about. You've not talked about same. Do you think there is a need for reform in those cells? And yes, the manner at which the police do handle suspects?
Yes, one thing I would say is we don't use torture. Torture doesn't work. We've never tortured anybody in our cells. Yes, we agree some of the cells are not very good for human, but it's something that we are working on improving those conditions. Like I said to you previously, just now, we've captured all of those things in the present drive we are doing now to transition. And that is why, to avoid keeping people in cells for a very long time, we've introduced certain things. For example, there's a thing that we have a policy in the Sierra Leone police which has been there for the past 15 years, the informal resolution policy. Not every matter will have to detain or charge to court. It can be resolved at the level of the local unit commander, because recently when His Excellency was launching the justice sector reform strategy, two things that stood out clearly was the workload on the courts is too much. For example, somebody stealing a phone costing 1 million and he's charged to court, then he's going to jail for 6 months. Government is going to spend more than 20 million to feed that person for 6 months in jail. So we said those issues, we found a way to go around them to resolve those issues at the level of the police station. Then, of course, the second thing is community engagement, going to the community to have regular community meetings so that we can know what are the challenges in the communities and we can tackle it head on, so that we don't resort to firefighting or to knee-jerk approach in dealing with issues that arise in the communities.
When you say the police does not involve in torture, it makes one wonder, what is torture? Because in this very Sierra Leone that we live in, we've seen, I'll mention two examples. The case of LJ, for example. He was arrested with dreadlocks. Next thing you know, he's seen without dreadlocks and he did not cut his own hair. We saw Koita being arrested. Next thing we know, with the pictures that went viral from being in the police custody, there was some, you could see visibly in the middle of his head, which obviously is not the normal, everyday, usual him. So let's understand what you mean by the Sierra Leone police does not do torture.
In the instance of, for example, in the case of Koita, he was arrested. During the arrest, he sustained that injury. I was there at the CID when he was brought in from where he was arrested, because that one is there. The one about LJ, that one, it has been dealt with.
Yeah, but it still does not change the fact that it happened. Even though it has been dealt with, it happened.
So it's not happening. It's not happening anymore. It's not happening anymore.
Yeah, but you just said earlier that the Sierra Leone police does not
we don't do torture. One of us do.
Did Koita torture himself?
No, he was wounded in the arrest. He put up a fight. They brought him. I was there when they brought him. He had the injury on the head. If it was me who said no, they should treat the injury, I was right there when they brought him. So that's not torture. That is not torture. I was there when they brought him. That's not torture.
Let's also talk about compromise within the Sierra Leone police when it has to do with other police officers or relatives of police officers. The special above the law treatment they get that other citizens don't get. How well do you supervise your officers to ensure that justice, of course it starts from the police, is served accordingly to every citizen, regardless of who you're connected to or who you have a case with?
Yeah, because those things happen, that is why we actually came up with the sanction regime, the discipline regulation. So if you have a matter in a police station and you think it involves a family member of a police officer who is being treated differently, take your matter to the CDID. That one can be done. And that is exactly what Mr. Jallo did when he realized that the matter at Adelaide Street has been treated with some kind of partiality. So that's why he came to the CDID. Let me give you an instance. My driver was involved in an accident in Kenema. He hit a bike rider, and the bike rider sustained some injuries. They placed him in cells. I said, place him in cells. I had to keep him there until we started giving medical attention to the victim of the accident. So I will not say because I'm head of police, my driver is involved in an accident, so he can be taken out of the cells, like that. The same thing happened in Bo. Another police officer was hit by another vehicle, and those who had the vehicle, they actually wanted to use their position. They started calling names, people in authority. I said, no, that man too has to be there. We are saying, we are looking at, I'm heading at an institution with people from different backgrounds. The rules are clear. Where you feel you are not treated fairly, you have an avenue, a monitoring mechanism. That's the CDID. Most of those cases, that's why, for example, like we started, you said somebody's removed from one department to another. Those are sometimes some of the reasons why we have to remove. Because for us, we are fighting very hard to change the level of trust between us and the people. Because let me tell you, we did 2 recent surveys. Before the elections, we did a national threat assessment, and we did, when we are doing the perception survey for our strategic development plan, we hired experts to do those surveys for us. And what came out clearly was that 45% of our people have been assaulted in the conduct of their duties as police officers. So what does that tell you? That tells you there's a low level of trust. And that is what we want to build. We want to build the trust between us and the communities we serve. That's why we're saying in this current drive, we are driving to transition from a force to a service. We want to be more community-oriented, meeting with the people. I've been to Ghana. You know, what I saw there was very amazing. You have police, the Ghana Police Service, they have a studio like this one we are sitting in. They have an outside broadcasting team. They go out on the streets in uniform. They do voice pop. They want to know what people feel about the police service, what they want to see reflected, what they want to see done. That's what we are doing. That's why for us, every LUC, we have made community policing as a key performance indicator. We've given them a timeline. By the end of March, we are going to assess every LUC in the country, the extent to which you have family-rooted community policing in your department. And the evidence for that one is we are going to see a drop in tensions in the community. Those tensions in the community between the police and the communities, it's not good for development, it's not good for peace, it's not good for security. But we are getting there.
With the issue on the right for people to protest or demonstrate, what pops up when this conversation emerges is the interpretation of that portion of the Constitution that guarantees the right of citizens to protest and demonstrate. One side of the coin says they're not writing to seek permission or approval. They're writing to inform the Sierra Leone police that there is a plan to do XYZ, and your responsibility is now to work with the team and provide security through the route they would be using, not necessarily to get you to say, I agree or I approve, or no, I disagree or disapprove.
No,
how do you interpret that portion of the Constitution?
There is a section in the Constitution that says, at that time it was the Commissioner of Police, but there is a section that says the IG has the right to approve or disapprove. You know, the last time I saw one of the lawyers was talking about that one, and he ended up by saying, yes, the Constitution says you have to inform the police. Then the other part is saying the police has the right. So for us, we are looking at everything from the security lens. If we see anything that poses a threat to public safety, then we cannot allow it.
But the Constitution says to inform.
And to have a right also to approve or disapprove is there. I checked the Constitution properly, is there. So we are not acting arbitrarily. We are acting within the realms of what is in the Constitution.
IG, just last week, we saw on social media a video of the Deputy Minister of Sports, Kai Lawrence Bayo, who is calling on the Sierra Leone Police to intervene in an issue as with the Vice President. Has the police taken any steps to save?
Yes, I saw that post Saturday. I saw the post. For us, that matter is a matter that is in court already. That's the matter that is in court. So it was not even correct for him to have brought that in public domain. When the matter is in court, you don't discuss it in the social media, because you're going to undermine the integrity of the judgment that's going to come thereafter. That matter was reported at the CID. It was investigated, and everybody involved in that matter was asked to come up with whatever evidence or have to support the claim that a piece of garment has been stolen. We sent the file. For us, every matter we are sending to court, we cannot send on our own. It has to go to the office of the Attorney General for them to go through the file, for them to peruse, and to prove our charges. Even when somebody says, yes, I hit that man with that stick, it has still to go to the office. Because sometimes, if it goes to the High Court, we, the police, we are not prosecuting. It's the law office of the DPP that does the prosecution. So that matter was investigated, sent to the office of the Attorney General, and they read the file, they advised, and we sent it to court.
Understood, IG.
So
Clearly understood, IG.
Yeah.
His claim that he made was that the vice president called the police to release the suspect. And the vice president also does confirm that, yes, he was the one who called the police to release the suspect. And the allegations were grave. It has to do with a diamond, a precious gem.
Keeping, there are some offenses somebody commits, we cannot keep him in custody for a long time. Otherwise, we are going to abuse his rights. For example, if you investigate a matter of say simple larceny, and you have to send that file to law officers, and it's taking like 1 or 2 weeks for them to look at it and to advise. It doesn't go like it's going today and it's coming out tomorrow. No, it takes time. And in the Constitution, there's a time frame for which you can keep people under investigation. So if you exceed that time, each time you want to exceed that time, you have to go again for, you apply to the Chief Justice.
Is that not 72 hours?
Yes, that's 72 hours. So if it cannot go beyond that one, except for very dangerous offences. Yes.
So perhaps you could use this opportunity for public education. What offences are under that bracket to get 72 hours bail, and what offences would not allow you or secure bail?
Well, for example, if you like wounding with intent, for example, we cannot give you bail in 72 hours. Murder, we cannot give you bail in 72 hours. Robberies, we cannot give you bail in 72 hours. Wounding with intent, we cannot give you bail in 72 hours. But like insulting conduct, in fact, for those ones, those small, those misdemeanors, we don't even detain. We just like open the file. Like I said, we have a policy where we can resolve that one.
What was the difference between this and the case of Howard Hunt, whose matter is now in court? Yes, we're not discussing the court proceedings on that, but before it got to court, how long was she in your custody before the matter was charged to court? Because she did not enjoy bail.
You know, because we granted bail, but they could not meet the bail condition. That's what happened. We granted bail, but they could not meet the bail condition. So that's why we took the matter to the law officers. And for example, cyber offenses, we have those are cases for the High Court, and there is a special office in the office of the Attorney General that looks at those cases specifically. Those ones, they don't stay long on the desk of the DPP for advice. So she was granted bail, but she never met the bail conditions. So that is an investigation. Sometimes why we tend to keep people for beyond 72 hours is our fear is if we grant bail within 72 hours, you are going to interfere with the evidence, and that is going to affect our investigations. That can be one reason why some people have to stay. And if you have to stay, we are making an application to the Attorney General for us to continue to hold on to you so that we can continue our investigation.
IJ, did the VP call you to release
the VP has never called me to release. I've said it before that I have enjoyed operational independence. He has never called me. He never called me on that matter to release any suspect. I was never called. I will say without fear, I was never called.
Issues of promotion and transfer is one that it seemed the most talked about within your community, the Sierra Police. How soon are we expecting same?
Well, those are scheduled activities. They are contained within the budget. You know, each time the fiscal year is starting, you are sitting together with the budget committee in the ministry. You plan your activities. For example, in this year, 2025, we will planned for 2 recruitments, 500 each. That's going to give us a number of 1,000. Promotions, yes, that one too, is one that goes through a process. People are expecting promotions actually, but when the time comes, we'll sit to the budget people, who tell us how many spaces they can give us. Everybody wants to be promoted in the Sierra Leone Police, but it's not like that. And like I said, we are moving towards a system wherein you can predict the time you are going to be promoted because we are going to set out conditions you are supposed to meet before you are promoted. Somebody will get promoted in December last year, and if you are taking out promotions again in January, you want to be promoted. So for every rank you are moving into, we have to determine the number of years you spend in that rank before you are promoted. What affected the Sierra Leone Police was when the Commonwealth team came, which was led by Kitpidu, when they came to restructure. What they did, they took out many ranks. The corporals, sub-inspector, they reduced our ranks from 19 to about 10. So they took out 9 ranks. That is what stalled upward mobility in the job. For example, if you do 6 years, 7 years, you are liable to be promoted from a constable to a corporal. When they took out the corporal rank, you now saw people going for more than 10 years without being promoted. And the advantage, we are also encouraging people to build their capacity. If you are in the police service, you go to university, you have your first degree, automatically your salary is upgraded, and you are promoted subsequently. If you are a technical person, lawyers, doctors, engineers, those ones, when they get in there, they are entering with a particular rank. So that's where we will start, so that we can encourage more people to get into the job. But promotions are critical issues, and they are not like, you cannot give huge promotions like did in 2021, or small numbers, but at least if you give small in 2025, by 2026 we expect another number of people to be promoted. But people have to know that they should allow others also to grow in the job, not only them.
IG, let's talk about a cancer within the Sierra Leone police that often sort of dilutes the good work of the good officers and tend to give the entire force a stain. The traffic police officers. They are in the habit of collecting bribes from especially commercial riders and drivers, whether it's bikes, kekes, the buses and so on. They are in this habit. And by doing that, it's also encouraging lawlessness and recklessness by these drivers, because they know that they don't have to comply. All they have to do is get money and give to these police officers. And their corrupt actions have also put Sierra Leone on the negative spotlight internationally at one point in time or the other. What are you doing about this cancer within the Sierra Leone police?
Well, in the first place, we are continuing to appeal to people to give us that information about those practices of our officers. Then secondly, each time it is reported, we are taking the appropriate action.
Sorry, IG. The police investigates other crimes and help the public with investigation. Yeah. Can the police not conduct its own investigation for its own personnel? That
is what we do at the CDID, and each time we conduct the investigation, we are implementing the penal action. The penalties are often implemented.
Are you aware that your traffic police officers, some of them, because you do have the good ones amongst them, but you have the very unprofessional ones as well, they take what they call booking from these commercial riders. It's a habit and it's an agreement between them and the riders that they should book. They have a certain amount they take from the riders and drivers on daily basis. They should give that money for no good reason, simply because they're riding or driving commercial and these are police officers.
We are dealing with those instances as they come to our attention. We are dealing with them. I have taken away more than 20 or 30 people from traffic in the Western area, for example. I've sent them to when we realize you've done that one, we'll take you through the discipline regulation, and the penalty sometimes is we will send you on self-sponsored corrective training. After that one, you are deployed to another department where you don't have the opportunity to collect bribes from people in the streets. Additionally, what we've done recently, we've started implementing some projects that has been there from 2014, Smart City project. We are installing surveillance cameras across the city. As I'm talking to you this morning, we've installed like 30 cameras, and we are going to look at, we are deploying them where these people are normally deployed to check traffic. But again, we still continue to appeal to members of the public to report those instances to us. Each time you see them happening, do a video. Almost everybody is carrying a smartphone. Do a video of somebody collecting bribes from a checkpoint or from a roadside checking point. Send it to us. We'll take the appropriate action. I'm not denying that they're not collecting monies, but what I'm saying is, where we have proof that yes, you did X, Y, Z, we take the appropriate action against them. We don't spare people.
IG, we joke with it in the country that the level of respect that citizens have for army men, the soldiers, they don't accord the same respect to the police. Why do you think that's the case?
Well, it is because we are like responsible for internal security. We are almost in contact with members of the public each and every time. For the military, it's only recently that we really started seeing them in public domain. Most times they are confined to their barracks. When I was a small boy coming up in Kenema, we only used to see them when we had this thing they call agricultural show in Kenema. They will come, they do their parade, they will do their war demonstrations. After that, they are loaded onto the trucks and back to the barracks. They seldom come to the city. But for us, we are always dealing with members of the public. And that is why, like I said, that 45% is coming out of our dealings with the public. The low trust is just that trust factor that we actually want to develop for the community to really have confidence in their police. This is the Sierra Leone police, not Faya Sellu police. So all of us should work together. That's why when we are doing our strategic development plan, we roll it out. We involve everybody, civil society, religious leaders, traditional rulers. Everybody comes on board. School children come on board to have their input so that all of us own it. So this police force is a police for the country. All of us have to help to shape it up by giving us information on what's going on that's not good for you.
And well, let's start with that now by giving you the information of what our Facebook viewers have been posting on our Facebook page. Victor Fode says, please, can the IG help the nation to know what was the bail conditions that our hunt didn't provide?
This one is from Maurice Ayodele Peacock, who says, let the IG take a public vehicle to any of the province and see how many bookings, money in brackets, drivers are paying to the police.
Alhaji Abdullah Kamara says, IG, when is your retirement?
Kelfajal says, Mr. IG, the worst traffic police officers are the ones located from PCMH Hospital to Waterloo. Each driver will book more than 5 times a day, and your heads at different stations know these crimes. Don't you have supervisors at your institution?
Abubakar Rashid says, Mr. IG, sir, who has the responsibility to take an accused to remand? Is it the court or the police?
Continue, Phoebe.
Okay, still on the messages. Osfriend Kamara is asking, how effective is your coordination with WAPIS and Interpol, especially in areas of money laundering and other national security issues? Is there any high-profile information sharing? Thanks. Swissman is asking, IG, why is it that the government of Sierra Leone and the police don't like to give right for demonstration? Don't you think that to deprive people from demonstration is a violation of human right?
Abubakar Rashid says, Mr. IG, sir, who has the responsibility to take an accused to remand?
Yeah, I think I just read that.
You've read it?
Yes.
Okay. I think a lot of messages.
Albert Lansana is asking you, can you kindly please ask the IGP, how can he go about fighting police corruption? And the last one for Thomas Ambold says, the best IG ever in the history of this country. Thank you very much for your service to the people of Sierra Leone.
Yeah, well, the issue of taking people to court, when we charge somebody based on the advice from the AG's office, he is turned over to the office of the Chief Justice and the courts. The courts take responsibility. But within the courts, we also have police officers who are prosecutors and process servers in the court. So that is for the court. In the case of our home, she was granted bail, 2 shorties, house books. It must come with a house document, and that is, bail is just about ensuring that somebody appears as and when required. So those conditions were explained to her, and the shorties went in search of the books. They could not get the books. House books are important. Travel documents are important, because sometimes if we think you are a flight risk, we'll ask for your travel documents. So that's the conditions we gave her. And the issue of curbing traffic corruption, that one, in my tenure, I'll make sure I'll do the best as I can. But like I said, we have monitors. We have the CDID. We have the proactive team that goes out to look for those issues. But again, sometimes those things happen not in our view. So that's why I'm saying, if you have evidence of that one, I've traveled. I just came. I went to Kenema yesterday. I was driving in a friend's vehicle, unmarked, not even with escort. We were just 3 in the vehicle, me, the friend, and my wife, and a security officer. So we drove through all of those checkpoints. And when I got to every checkpoint, they will check my vehicle. They will check for everything. They will check the vehicle. I made sure the vehicle was licensed and insured. That is one. So when I'm licensed and insured, they want to check. We check. I don't get involved. But indeed, that one, like you said, well, it can be treated. We are looking at it. We are paying attention to it. But again, we continue to appeal to the public, give us evidence of those issues, we'll work on it. I'm not saying they are not happening, because they are talking about it all the time, means the people have proof, but let them come forward with those pieces of information and then we'll act on it. Maybe, did I miss out any other question? There are too many at the time.
I just will round off this segment. What will you want to be remembered for as the IGP of police?
Well, I want, people remember me for what I'm doing. If I say what I want to remember for, maybe that's not what people are looking at. Like I said, I cannot score myself. I cannot judge myself. I am doing my best, and I'm waiting for people to judge me thereafter. And the message on my retirement, that person, let him not be in a hurry. When it's time for me to retire, I'll retire. When it's time for me to go, I'll go. I'm not there for a long time. Shakespeare said, the world is the stage. I'm there for now. I'm acting my part. I'm doing my best. When the time comes for me to go, I'll go. I'm not going to sit there for the day. That's why most times when I'm in my quiet moments in my office, I remove my jacket, I hang it on the wall, I look at it from there. Say, yes, anytime from now, I'm going to drop this jacket, I go back into civil life. So that's why I'm not in a hurry. Let him not be in a hurry.
Another state you're doing a very good job for your boss and that of your bosses, I mean the president and the vice president. That's more the reason why they are keeping you there.
Well, I'm a policeman. I have an outstanding record in the Sierra Leone Police Service. Since I entered this job, I have never been investigated at the CID or the CDID. I've never, each time, I've enjoyed several transfers. I spent 11 years of my early career in the office of the president of Ahmad Tijan Kaba of blessed memory. I joined this police service in 1993, just when I left college as a teacher at FSSG. 1995, I was deployed to the special branch. I spent, after elections, I went to State House. 1996 as a constable, and in the year 2000 I was appointed Chief Security Officer up to 2007, so I have a lot of experience in security issues. After that I came out, I've served like 7 divisions in this country. That gives me a wide experience in dealing with divisions, manning divisions, up country as well. I've been the head of conduct and discipline, the CDID. I was personal assistant to Francis Munu for 9 months before I went to Kenema as LUC. I've also been commandant for the police training school. I trained 2 sessions of recruits, 2,300, about that number. After that, I was one time also the director of the Joint Presidential Guard Force under the present president. Then, of course, crime services, regional commander South, and then all of that. So on the area of WAPIS, there was a question on WAPIS. WAPIS, in fact, it was in my time as director of crime services that I launched WAPIS in this country. We are missing out on the date, but I worked with, we have a policeman in Abuja, Yansane, Assistant Commissioner Yansane, who is working, Commissioner Yansane, who has been working very hard to make sure we are on that platform. So WAPIS is working. We have deployed, we are sharing information with other countries on criminals, stolen works of art, all of those things, stolen vehicles. We are sharing that crime. We have a platform. We are at the borders. We are at Balamuya. We are at Jendema. We are at the airport. We are at the seaport. So that's how we are. We are part of the WAPI system, and there's no missing link. Everything is there. We do trainings, how to collect quality data, how to share data. In fact, it's on 3 platforms. Nationally, we have workstations in all the 6 administrative divisions in the country, together with ACC and immigration. They keep record of people. So we are firmly rooted in WAPIS, and the information sharing is ongoing within us and the sub-region. That's why we've moved, for example, to effect arrest in Guinea, for example, Liberia. We've seen several times people are stealing vehicles, money from this country. They are running to neighboring countries. We are working with Interpol. We are having them arrested, and we are bringing them back for them to stand trial. So we are making gains in that area.
IGP, when does the Sierra Leone police intend to pay the 300 million old Leone's fine levied by the Human Rights Commission of Sierra Leone as part of the conclusion to their investigation?
No, well, that one, we are going to look at it, but I don't see us paying that money to anybody, because if we have dismissed people in the past for those things which they brought to the fore, so that is going to be double jeopardy. So they could have just as well tell us, okay, pay the fine, then you reinstate those people. So if we are going to pay the fine, to who are we going to pay the fine? To who are we going to pay the fine?
It goes to the victims.
Well, some of the victims, let them tell us who are the victims. They have never come up with a list of victims for us. That one is for another discussion, because with them, they knew our position. It's not only in my time. In the time of my predecessor, we are very much against it. I mean, coming forward close to elections, and then they are coming to say, let us open another Pandora's box for the police. You are going to put us in a tight spot. Our colleagues complied. They visited them up country. They went to Makini. I know they went to Makini. They went to Kailaun, and they dealt with issues there. They raised issues we've already dealt with. We cannot deal with those issues again because somebody wants to be seen to be doing his job. He's going around to raise the dust around the Sierra Leone police now. We cannot settle for that.
And lastly, from my end, in the fight against Kush, the Sierra Leone police has been under the spotlight, being accused that you work with the dealers in Kush, especially those who produce and sell Kush. You know them, but you protect them and keep them under your canopy. Yeah,
well, I want to see those allegations being substantiated. We just destroyed a major Kush laboratory in the east end of Freetown, Allentown. 4 people were arrested. We've charged them to court. Who've done several arrests.
And that did not come about due to your intelligence. It came about because there was chemical in the air, and so you got to get the information, but well, not by your investigations or intelligence.
No, we got intelligence from members of the public. We are not depending only on our own people in the police force for intelligence. We are trusting also members of the public. There are people we talk to voluntarily. They give us the information. On that particular day when that explosion took place, we were just mustering. We had the information already. Somebody living in the neighborhood, in an enclosed compound. So somebody just gave us the information. We are putting our team together to go there when the explosion happened. But we've been able also to crush some laboratories. We have some synthetic drug manufacturing laboratories. They were locked up in hotel rooms. Usum Hotel, for example, room 17. We arrested somebody there who had those local equipment to manufacture synthetic drugs. So we are pushing the fight against Kush. Even for our membership, we have a zero tolerance policy to Kush. We find it with 1 parcel of Kush, you are going. We find it to be protecting somebody who is dealing in Kush. We arrest that person, you are found to be protecting him. We also dismiss. We have a very strong policy on that one. We are trying. But again, like I say, we nowhere in the world would the police make huge gains without support from members of the public.
Well, the members of the public, some of them are now scared of coming to the police because of experience. Some people in their communities have reported some of these people. They were arrested. Next thing you know, they're released. And some of these people who were released, they come back into the communities bragging. There was an instance where someone made a report saying that the person who was released came back singing, "Na money they stop nonsense." So it scares the public from reporting now to the police, because the conclusion is some of those who are arrested, they go and they settle it financially with the police. So they don't want to put themselves in harm's way by coming to the police with information.
No, well, I've seen one instance when somebody also gave information on somebody who was dealing in Kush. He was arrested, taken to a particular station, and the person was released. He called me directly. The person is now in jail. I made sure he's going to jail. So sometimes people don't have to like be despondent, to lose hope in this organization. They have to continue to have faith, trust the organization. There are different levels you can report. If you go to the police station and your matter is not treated, the report you give and they treat it with levity, go to the next level. That is why for us, we have officers. You report your matters to, bring it to our attention. We can act on those matters. We are not saying we are running a force that is 100% perfect. No, we are conscious of those imperfections, but we are appealing to members of the public to support the Sierra Leone police to make it look perfect. Remember, we have, like I said before, we have a confidence crisis, trust. We want to build that trust, and we cannot build that trust all on our own. People have to see us to be walking the talk, and that's what we want to be seen to be doing, and that's what we do each time.
What about allegations of some of those people who they say they sit at the head of the cartel or cabal of the Kush business, but they're connected to the powers that be. So you seem to see them as a don't touch or no go zone.
No, there is no sacred cow in this dispensation. There is no sacred cow. In the fight against Kush, there is no sacred cow. When we have the information you are dealing in drugs, we'll go for you and we'll find you with drugs. You are going. Several people have gone to court.
But we've also
Big
seen
names.
the same Sierra Leone police announce that it's about to go do a raid, a search. You're about to conduct a search somewhere and you're announcing it. Is that not giving
Is that best practice?
Is that not giving the person heads up to say, we're coming, put yourself together?
No, that particular one you are talking about, I know it very well. The search was on when they put out that particular tip-off. Anyway, trust the Sierra Leone police. Trust, support us in what we are doing.
Why should the people trust the Sierra Leone police?
Because it's their property. It's not my property. It's the Sierra Leone police. We need to work to make it look good. All of us, that's why we're involved in everything.
Look good or be good?
To make it be good. It's not looking, most people think it's not looking good. That's why when you do perception survey, the perception differs from one group to another. If you go to the barricade, you will have a different perception of the Sierra Leone police. If you go to somebody else, you will have his own perception. But all of what happens is, we take everything as management information. We are not fighting with anybody.
Last for mind, is the Sierra Leone police still a force for good?
It's a force for good. And we are proud that it's a force for good. We are working to improve on that image. We are working. It's a force for good. That's why we're keeping it still on our logo, force for good. It's a force for good.
Inspector General of Police, William Faya Sellu, it's been a pleasure having us to this morning.
Thank you for having me.
We hope this is the beginning of many visits.
No, I will. Sorry, I like coming to the media. I like talking to the public. I go to community meetings each time. I go to communities. I attend community meetings. They bring up the issues, several issues come up. And I like it. For me, it's management information. I don't lose my temper when people tell me what's happening in my organization. It's because they want me to help, to help. They want to help me to correct it. That's why they keep telling me this is happening, this is happening. I look for it, and I appreciate them very much.
Thank you so very much.
Most welcome.
It's been a pleasure having you this morning.